Look, right, I have a dream that due to the fact that we didn't collaborate effectively, all of the larger businesses are going to soak up all of the live shows and merchandising opportunities and turn them into virtual reality, artificial reality, and artificial intelligence experiences. That's my dream. I've seen over the horizon. I've seen the promised land, and we're not in it as artists primarily, especially not as operators, especially not as creators. There's no need for us. You know what I mean? So I want to talk to y'all about this because I feel like this is a really dope story. After I wrote and learned about it, I was like, I think I'm gonna turn this into like a visual series of some kind, right? It was actually if you really have no care or interest of it, right? At the very least, it'd be like a dope Netflix series, like for real. It would literally be dope on Netflix. So I'm gonna tell y'all what I studied, what I saw. All right, y'all let me know what y'all think because, well, it really doesn't really matter too much what y'all think because it's gonna happen anyway. So I guess what I truly mean here is if you'd like to work with me on where we intend to go with the future of it. I think that's more so what this live is about, right? I mean, documenting this transition of things. Let's see here. All right. So let's start with a few things, right? Right now I'm letting my notes, what's that called? Refresh. But if y'all have any questions prior to this, feel free to mention that. DM me, blah, blah, blah. But the reason I looked this up, right, was because I'm like, the same thing that happened to streaming is more than likely going to happen to the VR game. What do I mean by that? Right, so when we lost CDs, we got streaming. So what are we going to get when we lose streaming? Right, what's going to be the replacement? What has the ability to make more money? And one thing that points to this reality is the video game industry. The video game industry is much, much larger than the music business. It generates a tremendous amount more revenue, and it could easily absorb it or complement it. They could work together as they already have. And I think it's important to notice that because a lot of times people think the music industry, just has its own individual influences, but in reality, it's a business that's good for helping other businesses, make sales and stuff. So that's why I think it's super important to start with how large the music industry is and how much it influences these things. And then also tech companies are the new part that have actually enhanced what the video game industry is able to produce and provide as a platform, because obviously we used to just play the game inside the crib, but that was before a lot of y'all was born. So that might not be relevant to you. So yeah, that's what I want to talk about today. And as my notes collect and gather, as I gather my notes, see, you ever notice, like, anytime you want to do something constructive, that always happens. It's like, oh, so this is the moment you don't want to work, right? Because it just always is so convenient. You just think, like, as soon as you log on to it, it's going to work like it always works. But now I get it. This is why we have to literally have to keep these things open and adjusted. Yo, what's good, Shiesty? What's good, Brody? I got this really, really fly study that I just went on about the music industry. If you're interested in tapping in on the live and hearing about it, I would definitely be interested in telling you about that, John. What you got planned for today? Dang, it's really on some like... So basically what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to load up my chat GPT where I created this layout, but it just seems like the whole website done crashed. And I promise you, 5 minutes ago I was just outside writing this and concluding it in a concise manner, and then I come in here and now it don't work. I can't make it up. So let's see. Okay, I got one other backup plan. If not, then we'll come back after we got all our resources together. Okay. So let's see. Is this joint even? Yeah, it is. Okay. So let's see. Chat GPT. Cause you playing games with me already. That's crazy. Like, that's so crazy. So crazy. All right. So yeah, it looks like it's oh wait, no. Yeah, it looks like it's working on my phone. So that's what we're gonna have to do. That was my backup plan. I was like, okay, we're gonna have to clearly do this on the phone. All right, guys. So getting back to the point, let's just go through like if you want to hear the numbers. Let me know if you want to hear the numbers. If you just want to hear the story, let's just go over the story because the numbers can become the numbers like really define it completely, but the story alone is definitely captivating enough. I promise you. So, what's good, Soul Librarian? You feel me? What's good, Kitchen Couch? What I'm talking about, right? So I had this really fly idea. Like I was just thinking, and I realized I was like, just like how streaming moves CDs out the way. You know, I had a theory about what's gonna move streaming out the way. And I was like, I want to start being a lot thoughtful on what the future holds, because I just believe that we will be seeing the peak of streaming services towards the end of this next election term. So that would be 2028, 2029. And I wanted to start looking over the horizon at, what the landscape of music would be. And I'm like, well, I know how capitalism works. Something has to get absorbed for something else to get more richer. And I'm like, well, in the music industry, what's the main priority of what people make music off of? Live performances and merch. So I would assume that that's where they're going to stick their hand in to try to get some more money in. And I started crunching some numbers. I started talking to the AI, and this is what I came up with, right? So I created a detailed year-by-year hypothetical scenario that involves the largest music, tech, and entertainment companies and requires mind you, I had to look at current trends. I had to use my imagination a little bit, looking at potential shifts. And then, so now I have a speculative outline on how the landscape might evolve over the next decade, right? So this is just a dope story. You know what I mean? Something that might get your thoughts going. So 2024, 2025, that's the year coming up, right? So the key players: Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, Live Nation, Universal Music Group, which is UMG, Sony Music Group, Warner Music Group, Meta, Microsoft, and Epic Games. We threw Epic Games in there because they're the largest video game platform. And like I told you, video games, I believe, are 8 to 10 times larger in revenue than music. So a lot of times people don't even know that video games is by far, it's video games, movies, television, music, and then books. Those are the 5 rankings of like what forms of entertainment are the largest. So video games blow it out of the water. So this is the first part. This is year 1, 2021 to 2025, right? Spotify and Apple continue to dominate music streaming, but begin to experiment more heavily with integrating VR and AR experiences into their platform. Spotify invests in exclusive VR concerts, while Apple integrates AR music experiences into its hardware ecosystem. So let's start right there. Apple has hardware, Spotify doesn't. So Spotify cannot just jump right into this virtual world. That's why I never really believed in streaming platforms, because they don't have no real technology. All they do is just take everybody's music and aggregate it and sell it for cheap. But there's no technology. There's dope software, but if you look at distributing platforms from Amuse to TuneCore to DistroKid to all SoundCloud, they're all the same. They're layered on the same type of technology, which is Web 2, which is centralized media, which, is controlled by advertisement. And a lot of people don't know that, so we're going to move on. And then so that was my point, where it's like, Apple has hardware, though. They can integrate their music on any of their hardware devices seamlessly. Spotify has to ask for that permission. They have to pay to be there. So even if VR and AR spaces take off, Spotify is going to need a seat at somebody's table to integrate their product services and licensing for the music. Like they're going to need other people's hardware to utilize that, right? But Google expands its YouTube platform into more interactive experiences, experimenting with metaverse-like concert experiences via YouTube VR, and begins testing virtual merchandise sales directly through YouTube channels. So right now, I don't think you can sell ebooks and stuff up there, but I'm sure they'll integrate that very soon. And then, VR technology goes with Google. Like Google has hardware. Like they have a whole hardware department, like Mac, what do they call those? Chromebooks? Yeah, I got like one of those. So they got Chromebooks and stuff like that. And then they got like the glasses, they got phones. Like they have a whole hardware system like Apple does. So YouTube can go to Google and be like, oh, boom, you're going to make money off us regardless. What's good, spiritual stoner? So it's like that's going to be the advantage in a lot of these companies in the next 4 years is like, you got a lot of software companies, you got a lot of like technology and software, but if you don't have the hardware to back it up, that's what really comes in between it. And a lot of these bigger companies pretty much just fight over like who's going to create what hardware. That's why Nvidia is one of the biggest companies right now, because they create something that's universally needed by all these companies, which is microchips, which is a form of hardware. Like everybody can program their software, but how are you going to compute all that power? What device is going to do that? And you need a microchip for that, and that's where hardware of Nvidia kind of plays a through line. So Live Nation and Ticketmaster start exploring hybrid concert models where tickets include both in-person and virtual attendance options. Live Nation partners with Epic Games to integrate concert experiences into popular games like Fortnite. So like I like this joint called InvestFest by Earn Your Leisure. If you buy a ticket, then they give you a virtual ticket as well as like the recordings of the event. So I think that should be regular. Like if you buy a $40 fucking ticket, yeah, if y'all are going to stream that, I need a recording of that, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And if you're sitting at home and don't come to the concert, then okay, maybe you could get it a little cheaper, but you still got to pay for this recording. Right now, YouTube is capitalizing on that. But eventually, you'll not be able to watch this stuff, or at least they're going to go through the streaming platform directly, like when y'all see Kendrick or Beyonce or these people go directly through the streaming platform. That's more advantageous than like letting someone else record it and then just upload it on YouTube, because then you still got to go through YouTube. Other than like they're getting their check directly from Disney, directly from Amazon, versus if you upload it on YouTube, you got to get the advertisement dollars and all of that other stuff, which is nothing wrong with it, but why would you middleman yourself? And so that's what Live Nation and Ticketmaster, they're currently going through a monopoly case in the government for just not giving a fair opportunity for everybody to be able to sell tickets, and using their software and technology infrastructure and buying up all of the venues, and but they're what big companies like that do is they just fight it off with like lawyers and like legal fees, and then they like pay the penalty, and then they just go back to business. So like if I'm a $50 billion company and you only fine me $100 million, like that would be the equivalent of spending $10 out of 500. So they don't care. Like, okay, here, pay a ticket. Like it's like paying a fucking parking ticket or something. And then so UMG, Sony, and Warner Music, right, continue to focus on digital streaming, but also start investing in NFT-based music releases and virtual merchandise, right? Because somebody has to give these people with the virtual hardware, right, whether it be Meta, Apple, Google, somebody has to give them the rights to sell Nicki Minaj's stuff, Rihanna's stuff, Drake's stuff. Like, who has the rights and the likeness to that stuff is UMG, Sony, and Warner Brothers. So they're going to always have enough leverage to just collect money on the back end, because a lot of artists in the mainstream don't own their likeness. And like a lot of artists who are independent, sometimes they'll just sign because they want the upfront money and they don't feel like building the infrastructure. So they'll just sign to a label. So labels are able to hold a good amount of money just off the strength of like they own your likeness. So anytime these bigger companies need to use your likeness, then boom, that's where they come in. And so Meta doubles down on its metaverse ambitions, integrating music and live performance into its Horizon Worlds platform. Meta partners with top music labels to host exclusive virtual concerts selling digital merchandise through Oculus headsets. So they got the Oculus, virtual metaverse. They got the metaverse thing down packed. So that's just, what I was saying. Like, they're going to start carving out how they're the go-to person for social media concert experiences. Like, we are social media. This is where y'all are going to share y'all experiences anyway. So why won't you just have your experience here with the people you're going to socialize with anyway? And plus, you don't want to just sit in your house with your VR by yourself. You want to be able to log into a lobby or a virtual concert hall where you can tap in with other people who fuck with that joint too. All right? So that's just year 1 and 2, guys, right? We're just talking about the transition. Once we get our new president, people are going to start looking for new businesses and opportunities to, platform themselves and etc. So you see Kai Cenat and we see these streamers allegedly being approached by these presidential cabinets and campaigns, right? It's because there's a great deal of influence through these platforms. So year 3 and 4, which will be 2026 to 2027, right? Early disruption and strategic alliances. Apple, Google, Amazon, Meta, Spotify, Live Nation, music labels, and Tencent Music, right? If y'all don't know what Tencent Music is, that is the music conglomerate in China that basically does all the music stuff in China, because China doesn't accept music from the United States because they know that they encrypt it with data stealing technology, and they don't want their data stolen, so they don't accept any like tools or like softwares or technologies from Americans. But as y'all know, we all use a bunch of stuff from China, and that's why America tries to limit it, because obviously China has a more communist government that if you are under their rulership or under their financial system or under their political system, they surveil their citizens or their property. They surveil their property. So if you fall on the line or the list of their properties, then voila. And then so Apple and Google further enhance their VR, AR platforms. Apple's AR glasses gain traction, integrating seamlessly with Apple Music for immersive music experiences. Google makes their YouTube VR concerts a regular offering, with a premium access being sold through YouTube Music. So they both have the foundation to say, like, all right, yo, we going fully metaverse, right? You can look at your virtual reality or your augmented reality concerts through our technologies. We have the music, right? Apple Music has licenses to your music, so does YouTube. They both have the infrastructure and the technological platform for you to come on to and see the actual work, and then they also have the hardware to support the VR experience. So they're going to take a lead. After this first year or two, they're going to be more prominent, right? Now, Spotify faces increased competition from Apple and Google, which have better integrated hardware solutions. Spotify responds by partnering with Meta to offer exclusive VR concerts on Horizon World. So Meta is a hyperbole, right? It's a hypothesis, but they need a home, right? Meta does not have a music department, so it would be smart for them to partner with them, right? But what do I know, right? These are just hypotheses. But Spotify needs hardware. Meta has hardware and infrastructure to expand the VR space. Spotify does not have trillions of dollars. These are trillion-dollar companies. Spotify has billions of dollars, but if these billion-dollar companies want to make billion-dollar investments into music, then Spotify just loses its leverage. And all Spotify has is licensed music that's predominantly independent artists. They have the same music that every other platform has, right? So there's like, that's why when you go to a distributor, they say, we're going to put you on 150 platforms, because Spotify has no leverage. They don't have anything on Spotify that's an exclusive to Spotify that you go to for Spotify. Like, they try to do it with podcasts with like Joe Rogan and stuff like that, but it doesn't generate as much money as they initially thought. So it would be in their best interest to partner with somebody who can create more of a virtual experience visually. Amazon launches a new music-focused division within its Luna gaming service, where artists can perform live concerts within games. Amazon also begins selling exclusive virtual merchandise, right? So they're the leading e-commerce brand. They already sell music. Now they just have to incorporate and uplift the usage of their gaming platforms, because they have those as well, right? So that would be ingenious if they went into the gaming space, but there's no telling. Once again, these are hypotheses. Even if they just leaned on the music and virtual product selling efforts, a lot of people have to use either Shopify or Amazon to sell their products. So if they just focus on even just virtual consumption, so like let's say you want to buy a digital t-shirt or you want to buy a digital memorabilia of the concert, something that you can accentuate, you might have to go through Amazon to buy that. So let's just take the gaming part out of the way, and let's say they just focus on the music and the virtual merchandise alone. That would be still the premise of why we're here today. Live performance and merchandising fall, right? Live Nation and Epic Games strengthened their partnership by hosting more frequent in-game concerts. This starts to take a small but noticeable bite out of traditional concert revenue. So that's the thing. It's like, if gaming is becoming one of the largest sports, it's becoming one of the largest technological advancements, as well as concert viewings. They're going to need an actual house. They're going to need someone who powers these larger spectacles of performance as it relates to the gaming world, right? How are they going to house all of these potential users and potential consumers, right? So Live Nation and Epic Games are going to come up with partnerships where they host, gaming sporting events, right? Where it's like, nah, we're not just doing like concerts for rappers and like concerts for musicians. Like, we're actually now doing concerts for gamers. You know what I mean? Why not? Like, if you're going to bring out 30,000 people who are willing to watch you play the game, or play the game against someone, or watch your game be broadcasted on a larger, like, movie-esque kind of screen, and then you can watch a live battle between some of the largest video streamers in the world, like, people are definitely going to go watch that. So Live Nation is going to expand their portfolio into video game performances. And I've been really, really keen on watching how this video game world is going to become, very, very prominent in the future, where, you probably would have thought it would have been silly that you'd buy, things from a store, like the things people made in their house, like cloth diapers and broccoli and, butter and soap. Like, people would have never imagined you're going to go to a store and all that stuff's going to be there already. So, like, you wouldn't imagine that you're going to go buy an experience to watch a video game from another building, because we started playing video games in the house by ourselves. So now you're going to go watch people around the world in another building watch video games with other people who came to a building to watch video games. Like, it sounds weird, but, you never thought you would have been watching all your music on a phone either, or talking to your phone as an artificial intelligence. So, UMG, Sony, and Warner Brothers continue to invest in NFTs and AI-driven music creation. So their best goal is to not pay people, but to pay algorithms, right? They want to make artists from scratch from AI, and then they can leverage their intellectual property through NFTs, and you don't have to split nothing with nobody. They also start acquiring smaller VR and AR content studios to integrate these technologies into their artist promotion strategies. So they're going to need somewhere to be able to platform these artists into the VR and AR space, and they're going to need to own the intellectual property of where they're produced, just like why they own studios today, because they want to own the masters and, all of the production that come along with that. So, UMG is going to start late because they can't convert Michael Jacksons and Monica's and DMX's and all of these publishing agreements. They can't just integrate them over into NFTs because they're still in bed with streaming. So this is where the music labels are in a tight shift, because we can do digital downloads and direct to consumer, but they can't. They're contractually obligated between Macy's, Sprint, Pepsi, and all of these outside investors, where they have to give residual income to these companies, especially when they've licensed their likeness to help promote these artists. It's like you owe them money every quarter. So you can't just take a large chunk of your budget and reinvest it into doing things direct to consumer to keep all the money, because you have 10-year agreements with the NFL. You have 20-year agreements to let the music be licensed for the NBA. Like, you have too many, you're overextended and spread too thinly, right? Where it's like, you can't just turn a Titanic. You can't just turn a big boat like a music business. I mean, a record label. Right, so that's where a lot of their loss to the technology sectors comes into play, because these technology companies can build on nothing. They don't have buildings. They don't rely on buildings. Amazon doesn't rely on buildings. Meta doesn't rely on buildings. Google doesn't rely on buildings. Apple doesn't rely on buildings. UMG literally relied on putting people in rooms and desk work and having venues owned and licensing stuff, and it's just like a larger elaborate process. And then going back to Tencent, expands their influence outside of China, focusing on VR concerts and social music experiences within the metaverse. So Tencent is pretty much like all the businesses we've mentioned put into one as it relates to music in China. And anywhere that the US doesn't touch, obviously China's going to go. They're going to go to the global south of like India and Africa, right? That's 3 billion people right there, that if they just provide the infrastructure of consuming music to them, they'll have half the world just simply off of the strength that America was like so busy marginalizing them that they missed out on actually providing an equally lateral service. And then, just building the infrastructure for them to consume and create. So let's move forward. Year 5 and 6, 2028 to 2029. Apple, Google, Meta, Amazon, Tencent, UMG, Sony, and Roblox, companies like Unity, right? So Apple launches a fully immersive concert platform with AR and ecosystem supported by exclusive deals with major artists, right? The artists can go directly to the streaming platforms when they get off these record labels. Once you're not signed, if the streaming platform want to do a deal with you, you could just do a deal with them directly, right? Selling virtual. And so this is where it gets interesting, right? By 2028, which I said is the end of this election season and the beginning of the next, Apple begins selling virtual instruments and music making tools in the metaverse, allowing fans to create their own music experiences. Now this is where it gets interesting. Imagine you can play with SZA on stage, but you have to buy a specific instrument to do it. Yeah, next level. Apple, like, they already have the headset, so imagine they create other hardware that allows you to access the metaverse in a unique way. You could bring a guitar in the metaverse that plays actual chord. Oh my goodness. Imagine a child learning the music industry through the metaverse. Like, they don't want to, like, they're this world of passing CDs out and like coming to the concert and being in person. That's the beginning of the end of it. Like, if I'm an 8-year-old and I've never seen a 90s freestyle battle and I saw 10 million people play guitar together virtually with Beyonce, I'd rather that. I would want that. Like, you know what I'm saying? So just looking at the future of it is like, yeah, once you go to virtual instruments, it's up. Google introduces virtual merchandise sales directly linked to YouTube streams. Artists can now sell virtual goods that fans can use across Google's platforms, including YouTube VR. So just imagine Google being a world where you watch your favorite YouTube video. You can buy a really cool like novelty piece of virtual content. You can go into these other immersive experiences like galleries and food spots, and like you can really just talk to people about it. You know what I mean? And then Meta expands Horizon Worlds to become a primary destination for music and entertainment, hosting large-scale virtual festivals that draw millions of users. Meta's partnership with major music labels make it a leader in virtual concert spaces. So Meta takes the lead by next election, and that's why the government and everybody's trying to push them back now, because they see what large influence they can have from being 70% of the social media space today, right? Amazon integrates virtual... Amazon integrates virtual concerts into Prime Music, offering exclusive VR experiences as a part of its subscription, and also acquires smaller VR startups to bolster its metaverse ambitions. I always look at like Amazon as like the hybrid. They always just bring a little bit of everything. They don't want to be the leader in anything. They just want to be number 2, 3, 4, or 5. Live Nation sees a significant decline in their physical concert revenues as virtual and hybrid events become more popular to mitigate losses for business. Live Nation merges with Epic Games, creating a new entity focused on immersive digital experiences. So they're saying in the next 4 years that live concerts will just be observed and absorbed through digital spaces. There will not be enough capital to push through a physical engagement. You drive there, park your car, and you got to buy show your tickets, and you might forget them, you might miss your flight. All these inconveniences of the past it's like, man, they can't even incur these costs in a competitive landscape of people who are even willing to just go see it digitally. So they're going to have to merge with someone and follow their trajectory. Just like how I work at my job now, and the company that purchased them is what influences the direction of the company that I work at. So it's like video games will then determine the actual concert goer's experience, because more people will be willing to just converge or convert more than they're willing to, do all of the necessary energies and sacrifices that it takes to do things in person. It's not going to be worth enough people's time. You're going to be standing in a room by yourself, making your favorite artist go poor, trying to get them to show up in a bar or a club where you have to like actually buy food and drinks to, what I'm saying? It's just going to be totally it's not going to be possible on a consistent basis, and you'd be making other people who are not as advantageous or committed to that effort, they're going to fail desperately. It's going to be like, like how we say, you could be in the NBA. It's going to be like, oh, you can be an in-person performer. Like, that's going to be telling somebody a pipe dream. Like, yo, you could be an in-person performer. And it's like, what are the chances of that when you could easily just integrate online and have some level of success? And so the decline of traditional models and market consolidation. This is from 2030 to 2031. Apple and Google control significant portions of the virtual concert experience. Their ecosystem becomes central to how users engage with music. With Apple's AR VR integration, Meta solidifies its position as a leader in the virtual entertainment space. Amazon begins to rival Google in its virtual concert space and its retail and dominate virtual merchandise. Amazon requires several smaller tech setups to integrate into your ecosystem. Live Nation and Epic Games becomes a key player in entertainment industry, offering a mix of person, hybrid, fully virtual concerts. UMG and Sony experience a significant shift as revenue from traditional streams and physical merchandise declines. They increasingly rely on metaverse platforms and NFT-based sales. Smaller labels cannot adapt and either get acquired or go out of business. This will be the death of the music industry. By 2030 to 2031, the death of the music industry will start. LinkedIn CEO just posted that by 2034, that the entire job market of America will be absorbed by AI by 2034. Now, this is a man who has a billions of dollars platform that's been purchased by Microsoft. He is the CEO. He is the person who has to make all of the executive decisions on how all these people's jobs, pensions, and futures are leveraged. And he is saying the platform that he created for job connections will not even be a viable asset or resource by 2034. He said there will not be jobs in America. So he is basically saying there is his as a CEO, he is going to have to pivot what LinkedIn is used for, or they're going to fire him. If Microsoft don't see that he's making a considerable shift from job connection to entrepreneurial and because you can see if you go on LinkedIn now, there's reels, there's content. It's an entirely different world now where entrepreneurs, businesses, and employers all come together for the conversation of work-life balance. But it's not just for finding jobs no more. So if we can see that UMG is not going to be able to sustain their business model because it's highly based on jobs, the job market has committed to its effort of saying they won't have jobs. Social Security is running out. The black community's wealth is on trajectory, to be completely depleted by 2053. But no one wants to, no one wants to stick to the facts, right? Everybody has the hopes, right? So we're going to move forward. Spotify struggles to maintain its market position. Spotify, right? The place that we all deem the holy grail today, that you can't do stuff without. 2024, right now, by 2030, it is on trajectory that Spotify struggles to maintain its market position without a hardware platform. Spotify becomes more of a niche service focusing on personalized audio experiences and podcasting. The company might consider a merger or acquisition to stay competitive. Right. You know what I mean? They already are in the chapters of like, who is going to acquire us? We need a home. We don't have no hardware. this is going to become a niche service, right? The way we call listening to a CD or going out to see a favorite artist as nostalgic, streaming will be that by 2031. You feel me? Yo, I definitely will hit you up if you mean. I appreciate that. Soul Librarian, give thanks and praise. And then Tencent consolidates its global presence by becoming the top player for music and entertainment within the metaverse, right? Tencent's success in the West forces other companies to partner or compete with it. So because, you know what I mean, if I had to choose anybody, like I said earlier in my dissertation, Spotify would have to team up with either Amazon to give them the music catalog, but Amazon doesn't have hardware. So it would be smarter if they merged with Meta. Because imagine if Spotify just took its licensing and its agreements with artists, placed all their catalog on Meta, and then you could integrate your experience for live concerts and social media and music consumption all on one platform, and you don't have to move back and forth. And when you play your videos with your music on Instagram, it calculates as streams with Spotify and can, you know what I mean? That would keep them alive, because they're going to have to find a way to bring some kind of interest to the artist. So if you're telling me like, oh, well, I can start counting my streams on Meta or Instagram specifically, right? This can now create a competitive advantage against TikTok, where it's like, or maybe TikTok might purchase them, right? But I would see Meta is more probable because it's like an American company, right? So it's like you could just literally monetize your music through Instagram and Meta, because that's where everybody's fucking promoting their shit anyway. Y'all running ads to send people to Spotify. So they might as well just work together and make y'all job easier, right? But after they take all y'all money, obviously, then they'll integrate it and make it easier. And then so moving forward, because this is coming towards the end. Oh no, that was the end. Live Nation and Epic Games operate as a hybrid entertainment company, but with a focus on virtual and hybrid events, right? Traditional concerts are now seen as a luxury experience, with most revenue coming from virtual concerts and digital goods. So that's what I see for live performances, is like, if you want to be able to see T.I. in concert 7 years from now, T.I. gonna be 60 years old. If you want T.I. to come out of his house and rap for you, bro, that shit gonna cost $500 a ticket, right? You want to see Beyonce with, Blue Ivy gonna be like in 19, bro. Y'all still want these people to come out? Like, there's no reason for the average artist who has a very large following of Daddy Yankee, Pitbull, Madonna, SZA, Adele. Like, why would these people come out when you could pay $20, right? And 1 million people could come, right? If I get on my VR and I just pay a $20 subscription, because right now, right, if you used to buy 3 CDs, if you wanted Janet Jackson, A Tribe Called Quest, and Common, you had to buy 3 CDs. That would have cost you a minimum of $30. But now you can pay $9.99 a month, $13, and you can get millions of artists. So why can't I pay a concert subscription to VR, Meta VR, Apple VR, and then every concert that's listed in the music industry will be on my joint? Like, that would be super dope. Like, give me Kendrick's concert, Drake's concert, Adele's concert, Chance's concert, SZA's concert, Sexy Red's concert. Give me all them concerts, and I can just go watch the recording later, and then it feels like I'm immersive. So I could pay $20 for this section or $100 to feel like I'm right up front. You dig what I'm saying? Like, it's just simpler. It's the way they catalog everything last time. Like, you would have been insulted as an artist to hear that your music was going to go on there as an independent artist right next to DMX's music, and it could all be streamed at the same price and shared. Like, right? But they're going to do that with concerts. It's like, okay, yeah, they're going to squeeze all of the people on them contractual agreements, and the ones that we sign through DSPs, they're going to squeeze the revenue, distribute it very strenuously, use advertisements to cover the arbitrage, and then that's going to be your check. And you're going to agree to it, and then you're going to get on social media and complain about it like we do right now, and it's going to be the next chapter of how the artist will get poorer, how the consumer will get more to consume, and how the business will get even richer. Let me say that again. The artist will get less. The consumer will have more to consume, which is always the leverage here. The consumer doesn't care in America, right? The consumer does not care. They just want their stuff. They just want what they want. And if you can get that shit to them cheap, That's the one they're going with. They don't want to preserve the integrity of who they serve. So it's like, yes, for a fact, I would see that the consumer, if you give them $20 concerts with all their favorite artists, 1,000% sure that they're going to buy that joint, right? Because there's no way, even as someone who advocates for artists, that if you don't have a, like how Drake just did the 100 gigs, it's like, if Drake can drop that much content on you in one day, what is that worth? If you wouldn't even pay $5 to see all of the hundreds of gigs of Drake's content, right? As a casual consumer, obviously he has, you know what I'm saying, locked in customers. But I'm saying as a casual consumer, if you can't see yourself paying $5 to watch 100 gigs of Drake's content, what the fuck do you think nigga gonna come see you at wherever you at? That's crazy work. So I really wanted to finish this because now I can take this live and I can strip it for the conversational pieces that I had and some of the examples I've made. And yeah, that was really why I finished it. I wanted to be elaborate. So let me see. It looks like I got 2 questions here. Our way. How do you think us entrepreneurs get ready for these higher up business talks that are coming our way? I don't think, I'll be honest with you. How do I think, right, without trying to be an optimist or something like and just making up an answer, how do I think entrepreneurs get ready? I don't think they get ready. I think, I don't think the average entrepreneur is going to get ready. Like, I think right now I'm looking at how I'm going to position myself for that day. So will the average person incubate and develop a strategy within a think tank for over 4 years and then wait to present that idea while like literally trying to just avoid the trends of today? Like, I don't think a lot of people can avoid the trends of today. Like, I think the liberation so-called, or the invitation of like entertainment on a regular basis is so enticing and alluring to people that they can't contain themselves or discipline themselves long enough to work on something that can create a competitive advantage in business long term. That's why I love the creative community. That's why I like working with you, because it's very, very few and far between that you're going to find people who are willing to commit to being a disruptor in an industry. Most people want to capitalize on how it is. So, a lot of people right now, they're going to use political dollars to pay the artists. They're going to use corporate dollars to pay these artists. And these governmental and corporate interests have already used these same algorithms to determine like what is the right amount of money to give so that you can't economically move forward enough as an individual, right? The only way you'd be able to do anything different about it is if you aggregated your dollars, and they know you're not going to do that. So they statistically anticipate that, whereas like, okay, if we give them $300,000 in benefits, okay, like you could go try and start your own company, but you start your own company by yourself, and let's say you can go get $1.5 million as liquid capital to back your investment. Okay, now you have $1.8 million and you create this super cool live venue in Atlanta and all the people come out and it's super dope. And then the moment that you need to be able to leverage that venue or that experience to get another loan to build a larger venue, guess what? Slutty Vegan just built 3 of them or Pepsi or somebody. So it's like you'd have to have a more cultural commitment and loyalty amongst your audience and your fan base as consumers. You'd have to nurture that. You know what I mean? I think you'd have to nurture that. I think having a new underground would be the only way that this works, but I don't think people really want to commit to a new underground, bro. I'll be honest with you. I think because this is all based on the consumer. The artist is a slave to consumers right now. A lot of artists don't want anybody to miss out on what they're doing. So anytime I talk to an artist, they're just like, but what if people want to hear it on Spotify? Or what if people? They're like, that's how artists are. They're like a what if people kind of person. They're not business people who intend to create that outcome as you describe it. So it's like, yeah, I don't think the artist has it in them to hold out on their art, because they do want people to see them. They want people to know them. There's a lot of artists who want recognition. So you can't create an underground if the creatives themselves won't stay underground, because the underground would require then the consumers to come underground and then stay within the standard of how to consume things underground. But if the artists keep coming above ground to go mainstream, that's where the terminology comes from, underground and then mainstream, right? You go to the underground because you don't want to be in the mainstream, right? Yeah, so like he said, then people steal it if you don't. And that's where the gatekeeping is important, but we don't have that either because we're so big on inclusion and like letting everybody be a part of stuff so that we don't seem like the bad guys, especially in black communities. It's like they only steal it because we let them. We know that these people don't have any direct interest in what we're doing except to capitalize on it, but because we have a itch or a addiction to being capitalistic ourselves, we actually are willing to let a couple colonists and a couple pilgrims and a couple settlers pull up in the efforts of our own personal development and interest. And shouts out to my man Easy, because he be moving around in the music industry. He, you know what I mean? Anything that I've said here, he'll definitely vouch for it. He worked, right? You know what I mean? He be tapped in. So, yeah, I don't think artists have enough, loyalty to themselves or their audience to like preserve anything like that. That's why I like working with Reason, because in Reason and Mick Shantae, they keep their music on even. Now, I do tell them to stop putting it on streaming platforms. They still be wanting to be, hopeful to y'all. They want to give y'all what y'all looking for, but I don't think as consumers, and when I say y'all, I mean consumers as a generalization, not y'all in the chat. I'm saying consumers, you got to make them buy things the way you want them to buy things. So it's like they be wanting to put it out on even for a month and then, put it on streaming platforms, which lets your audience know like they ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? So that's just shouts out to them. Like I think that's why I work with them, because they're at least willing to be pioneers in these spaces and give it a try while also balancing that out while caring about what y'all want. You know what I mean? Y'all want to hear it on a streaming platform and shit. You know what I mean? I'd rather have 0 sales, to be completely honest. If it's me, I'd rather have 0 sales. And then like, if you really want to hear my music, bro, you gotta buy it through here. This is the only way you're gonna hear it. Even if you're just doing it to support me, do it here. You dig? But it's like, that's just me though. You know what I mean? Shouts out to them. Those are the only 2 artists I really respect and work with, because other than that, most people just want to be liked. They don't want to make a business. And that's what I'll end on this note is, we need to be business people who use music as a product, right? Because clearly the music industry is cooked. Like the music industry is cooked. It is already completely put on a platter based on the invested interests. If you are not in alignment with those invested interests, it's like you don't get anything. There's no access. There's no leverage. And all the people in every position, from the employment level to the contracted level to the, business sector, like they all are in cahoots, bro. Like they don't want to let you in unless they can benefit from that. So, the only option you have is to go directly to your own base. And what Easy just said, like, yeah, make a limit. If we can get 50 purchases, then I'll let y'all get it on streaming platforms, right? Like y'all got to earn it. You get me? You got to earn it. Like I love that attitude. Is like, if y'all earn it, if we work to put it together on streaming platforms, then hey, right? That's what's up. But, that's why I said that's the only reason I work with them, because they set that limit. They be like, look, you want to come to my concert? You got to get this project. You want to come see my stuff? Concert. Ticket. Even biz, right? So I'm done. I'm out of here. The stock market's about to close. I want to try to close some positions real quick. And yeah, man. But just to give y'all a heads up, because I see there's a lot of y'all up here right now, so I'm actually going to take advantage of that. We got mad shows coming up. We got one coming up on, tomorrow I'm going to Vegandale, God willing that it don't rain. The 31st, we're doing a festival, outside festival type joint. Shouts out to WK Labs, sip and party type joint. And then on the 15th of September, I have a photo party for the creative community. That's basically where we're just going to cook up content. That's the stuff that I'm going to advertise around the world and show people how we really rocking. Then following that on October 19th, we're going to have our listening party with Reason Can Rap. Then following that in November, in the 11th, yes, sir, Rick Ross performs at Vegandale. And this was my exact point. You could pay $20 to see Polo G, Rick Ross, and Saweetie. $20 at an amazing outside venue in Philadelphia. Why the fuck would I want to come to your dirty, dingy ass crib with no fucking bathroom? I'm mad as hell. Y'all fucking drawn. Who's protesting it? That's drawn. Oh, see, now you about to get me distracted, Skirb, because you be giving the scoop. You got the real scoop. Who's protesting what? I'm tight. Oh, my God. You just fucked me up with that. You just fucked me up with that. Just fucked me up. Who's canceling it? The vegans, right? You gotta say it just like that. The vegans. Yo, I love you for that, bro. The vegans. That's funny. That is funny. Yes, the vegans. We know who they are. Yeah, we plant-based. Right. They like, I'm about to end this joint. You are about to have me fucking weak. So they're saying they not going to Vegandale because he own a Wingstop. This is how you know, look, we plant-based. They're vegan, right? We know who would stop a man from, look, I'm not going there today. Let me get the fuck off here. Yo, Skirb, you fucked me up with that joint. But yeah, I'm on some backstage shit. I ain't in there on some like, I ain't with all that. I just wanted to, get some backstage vibes, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's all. So yeah, that's that. The 19th, just so we can get back on track, the 19th of October is my brother Reason's joint. He's dropping. And then on, I believe the 11th. Yeah, 11/11? Yeah, Mick is up 11/11. I just realized that. That's 11/11. It's like the Sunday. Yep, 11/11. And then from that point, we're going to end out the year with a sneaky performance. Shouts out to my man Sims. I'm going to have him end out the year, and we're going to do a lit. And Rick, you heard me? So, yeah, I'm out of here, man. Bless up.